It is the middle of the year, which is the perfect time to reassess. On this channel, I yap a lot about gentle joys, creative hobbies, and just taking time throughout your work week to do something that lights you up, that brings you a little bit of joy. But for me, I've been slacking on that. It's been a little bit of a struggle to carve out that time for me to actually do things that do fill my cup, which is why I'm starting this little accountability series called Build a System with Me. And essentially in each video, we're gonna be looking at one area of my life that needs a little bit of structure, a little bit of help, and building a cute, cozy digital system around it with the help of Notion. And if you haven't guessed it, today we'll be tackling hobbies because I've been craving more creative time, but I don't really have a space in my Notion to actually plan or track things that I want to do just for fun. So if you've been wanting to reconnect with your creativity, let's go ahead and build the system together. Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amira, and around here we talk about mindful productivity, self-care, and soft systems that help you build an intentional life. And as always, you can grab this exact system that we build together for free. It'll be in my shared Notion hub. I'll leave the link in the description down below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and build this hobby hub together. Hello and welcome into my Notion hub. So this is my main page that we have here. I'm gonna go ahead and scroll down to the navigation and create a new page so we can get right on into building this hobby hub. So that is backslash, and then I'm gonna type in page. We are literally gonna call this what it is, hobby hub. And then what I like to do is get my formatting correct from the jump. We're gonna make this full width. I want to start off with setting the tone, the aesthetic for the page. I like to get my images from Canva or Pinterest, or sometimes I'll ask ChatGPT to make me an image. So I did ask ChatGPT to make me a little cozy hobby hub image for my cover. And so I already have it. I'm gonna go ahead and download it and then add it to the Notion page. So we're gonna change cover, upload, and this is the image here. It kind of is a little bit too big for the cover, but that's fine. It's kind of like a little watercolor, cozy drink, and a little pad. So I'm gonna maybe drag it to this position just so I can see a little bit of the watercolor. Save that position, and then we're gonna add an icon. Do we wanna make it a ball of yarn, or do we wanna make it paint? I think this is cute. So let's go ahead and backslash. I'm gonna add in my headers. I like to use heading 3 for my headers, not to make it too big and clunky. I'm gonna name this hobby, goals, and intentions. I like to use a divider. You could preemptively turn this into a column because I know that I want to put another one here, but I also don't want the columns to carry all the way down. So we'll see. We'll leave it like this for now. What I'm gonna do is create my other heading. As you may find, if you're new to Notion, there are so many ways to like maneuver your columns and headers and whatnot. You don't have to start off with columns and headers. You can literally adjust as it goes on, as you get a feel for the page that you're creating. Visual mood board. And then what I'm gonna do, you can just drag to create a column, drag it here, put this divider right under this header, and then the same thing for this divider, put it right under this header. And then I like to add a little italics, some color background. Let's do brown. I think brown is cute, maybe green. We'll do brown for now. This is what it's giving. Underneath, see how it kind of carries down, which I didn't want. There we go. I think this is a single header. Let's do another one. Let's do heading 3, which is going to be hobby tracker. All right. And then we put another divider. We'll make this brown, and then we'll put some italics. That will be our hobby tracker. Down here, now that we have a single column, we can go ahead and add 2 columns underneath the single column. So I'm going to put 2 columns, and heading, first heading is going to be seasonal hobby menu with my divider, and then the other one is going to be supplies and resources, and then a divider. There we go. Same thing here, italics, and then 3 dots to add that brown background. Okay, so this I think is the general layout so far. I want to enclose each section, so I think I'm gonna do a call out. I'll show you. Backslash call out. We'll just give this a little like square and give you the opportunity to add either an emoji or an icon. I'm gonna keep this paintbrush icon and keep it brown. If you wanted to use emojis here instead, you can just go over to the emojis tab. Also, friendly note, you can also add your own emojis. So sometimes I will use square images on Canva. So I will make a square design. I will put an image there that I think is cutesy, and then I will make that image, transparent because I have Canva Pro. And with Canva Pro, you can download an image file with a transparent background, and then I'll go ahead and upload that here. So for example, if I type in circle, I literally called it circle. So this is actually an image from Canva that I made transparent. I downloaded it as transparent and then I uploaded it here. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm gonna stick with an icon for now to match our little palette here. We will add a paintbrush. And you see how when I put the call out right, it makes it one single row. I'm gonna go ahead and just push it back under here. I'm gonna make our table. So you have table view, right, which is a database. It tells you right here. If you hover, it'll show you what that table view is. And then there's a regular table function. I think I'm gonna go with that. That looks cute. I'm gonna put in my goal. I'm gonna put in timeline and then just a simple status. You click on these dots here, you can make this the header row. You can add color. I think I'm gonna keep this maybe yellow, and then maybe I'll make this bold and then brown. Let's see, we're just kind of playing around. I was thinking green, but I don't know. I feel like that's cute. I kind of like the yellow better. It could be brown too, but I feel like there's just too much brown going on. So let's do yellow for now. If it looks ugly, we can take it off. Goal 1, let's put to try one new hobby. Timeline for that goal, maybe like each season, right? So one new hobby each season, i.e. each quarter. Status is like planning, right? I'm gonna be planning these hobbies. Next one is regular creative hobby sessions. Timeline, I wanna try to do that every weekend. Status, I'm gonna put ongoing, right? Because that is really gonna be ongoing. And then let's do one more. Let's do like join like a hobby interest group, maybe. Let's see if we're able to do that. Let's do end of year. This could be like in person. This could be like an online community. So let's remind ourselves of that. It could be in person or online community. Let's put the status as like researching. That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna adjust these a little bit. That looks cute. Now we're gonna do another call out. This time I'm gonna go ahead and remove this space here because I just want to focus on the vision and that collage of photos, and we'll just kind of keep this blank for now. And since I'm sharing this with you all, I'm just gonna add a little note here for you. Create your own inspo gallery or vision board here. Add photos. Let's like give ourselves a list of ideas. We could do a bullet point. We'll keep this here for now. Scrolling down, I think I'm gonna delete the extra space here. Since we're already in the call out zone, let's go ahead and skip the hobby tracker for now and then go down to our hobby menu in our supplies and resources section, because I think those two will be contained in call outs as well. So let's just go ahead and add our call out. You see, because I deleted the call out here, once I create a new call out, it shows up blank, but I do want some emojis back here. So I'm gonna go ahead and edit the icon and it brings it back. So that's how you would do that if you were missing your emojis. Because I think I'm gonna drag the same thing over, I'm just gonna duplicate that and then drag that over here. Beautiful. We're gonna go ahead and just add some toggles in so I can just quickly list the, different seasons of the year. So we're gonna do /toggle, spring activities. What's after spring? Summer activities, fall activities, winter activities, and then let's go ahead and just open up each toggle. I like to go ahead and put bullet points, and then because I'm kind of like lazy, I will add buttons as well. I'll show you what I mean, right? We're gonna add an activity. So let's say like nature walks, and sketch, right, is a cute spring activity. I said before that I get a lot of my inspo from Pinterest or like YouTube, the YouTube cozy hobby girlies. So these I just kind of have jotted down on Pinterest. So I'm just going to kind of display them here. Watercolor painting is a beautiful spring and really summer and really just year-round activity, but gardening and planting. You could leave this here, or maybe if you want to just add a space to another bullet point, you can just kind of leave it at that. If you wanted to add more blank bullet points, you could just hold command and then click D and it'll add bullet points for you. I don't necessarily love the look of that. So what I'm going to do is delete this here. I'm going to add instead a button that will do that for me. I think the look of the button just looks a little bit better, and that'll just save me time. This is just so minute and minuscule in the grand scheme of things, but I think it looks cute and it's functional. We're gonna go ahead and add a button, create a new button. I'm gonna call this new hobby idea. I'm gonna put a little cute icon here. We'll make it brown. I like the sparkles. I often add sparkles to my buttons. So the action here is when button is clicked, it'll do a new action. And you can do insert block. I'm going to do the backslash again for the command. And then I'm going to add, it's down here. You can kind of see it already, but I'm just going to add bulleted list. This is important, right? Because if I just click done, it'll insert the action, right? The bullet point under my button. And I want to insert it above the button. So once I click done and I click new hobby idea, as you can see, it'll create that new block above the button, right? So instead of just kind of like fiddling, enter, and then backslash, whatever, right? It just makes it really easy to just like click and add and then type. Really small thing, but I think it's cute. I think it adds a little something, and you can find other ways to use this as well. We're going to continue on here. And actually, if you wanted to, you could literally command and then copy all the way down here. And then you can literally add new bullet points. I'm going to finish up my summer, fall, and winter activities, and then we'll review them. Okay, so here are the activities we came up with. We have spring activities, nature walks, and sketching. We have watercolor painting, something I'm really into right now. Gardening, whether that be planning your garden, right? If you have a little home with a garden, and also planting, or if you don't have a home with a garden, like a little mini garden, mini inside home garden. Summer activities, film photography, right? Getting those beautiful sunsets and whatnot on different film equipment like a Fujifilm or any of those other like physical cameras that are really cool and aesthetic and vintage. Collage making, I think, is a really good physical hands-on activity. Creative writing. Fall activities include knitting projects, right? Maybe knitting yourself a cute sweater or some socks. Baking, it's a good time to do some baking, apple pie, cookies, scrapbooking. Winter activities could include like general stream of consciousness journaling, right? Winter is a very reflective time for sure. Puzzle making, some cozy winter puzzles, and junk journaling, as the name implies, is just throwing a bunch of stuff in a journal, like mementos and such and so forth. I think that's cute for now. What I want to do is maybe bold these so they stand out when I toggle. Maybe I'll make them brown. I think that's cute. Let's go ahead and do the supplies and resources section. So this is gonna include, I think, like taking stock of my current inventory, like what I have, and then what I might want to purchase in the future. So maybe like a little wish list, any resources. And I'm not gonna pull them in here now, but I'm just gonna kind of jot down ideas of some resources that I might want to, research in the near future. And then maybe some reflections questions that I can pull in, and then maybe create like a general refresh, like cozy hobby refresh checklist. And I think we'll kind of start there and see what happens. Just because I'm a little lazy, I'm going to go ahead and copy this, duplicate, and I'm going to push it over here just so I can have it there for now. And I'm going to create my toggles for each category. All right. I think halfway through, I did utilize a little ChatGPT to help give me some reflection questions and a good checklist and whatnot. But just to review, so my current inventory, I really just have art supplies. I have my watercolors, brushes, paper, and a watercoloring notebook that I got. I got like a little paint cleaner. I'll even show it to you. I got this from Amazon. You literally fill this reservoir with water, stick it on here, and then it literally just kind of shoots out water, and then you can dip your brush in here and use these little holes to, mix your paint and whatnot. So very cute. Next up, in terms of like camera equipment that I can potentially use, I have my phone and I have my Sony ZV-E10. hand camera and a tripod, right? So if I want to like take some photos or whatnot for scrapbooking, I could use that. I also know that I used to have this printer. I think it's a Fujifilm Instax printer where you can take photos on your phone and then print them out and make like a little Polaroid out of that digital photo that you captured. So might need to invest in that again because I don't know where that is. I also have a few like fancy journals that I got from Barnes & Noble because they definitely got me for sure. Really expensive, but they were so cute. I think I have a few like leftover acrylic paint, like larger brushes and canvases in my boxes somewhere. I have to double check. In any case, I did create a buy list. So I do want some more art instruction books. Like I have one, a watercolor book for wildflowers. I do want a film camera. I do want to invest in that. Scrapbooking and stickers and yarn and needles for some knitting activities that I could get into for the fall. Ideas of learning resources and where I can, grab some inspo and resources online include, bookmarking online classes that I, just searching Google, a good old Google search and seeing if anyone has like a course or something. Also, YouTube is free 99, so creating a YouTube tutorial playlist, research and save local workshop schedules to add to my GCal when I get a chance. And then I have some seasonal reflections here, right? Like what hobby is calling me right now? Do I need to restock any supplies? Is my creative space working for me? Am I actually getting to my hobbies? If not, what can I do to reduce the friction? What's currently bringing me joy lately? Which projects do I want to press pause on and why? I sort of kind of ran through a refresh checklist here that includes organizing and sorting supplies, cleaning and resetting workspace, reviewing current projects, archiving any completed work in my hobby tracker, planning next season's activities, updating tracking system, i.e. hobby tracker, taking project photos, refreshing inspo board from Pinterest, adding new pins, etc. Actually scheduling those creative time blocks in my Google Calendar for the week. I think this is cute. Like I said, always subject to change. I'm gonna post this, so feel free to add as you see fit and take away as you see fit. You can go ahead and close these toggles. Last but not least, we will start with the hobby tracker. So I think I'm going to start with a table view. When I create my databases, I like to just do like a catch-all and then build out different, views from there. So let's do table database, a new empty database. Let's call it hobby tracker. And because this is a template that I'm sharing with you, I'm just going to put in parentheses template, not to be confused with when I duplicate this and create my own, right? So I'll go ahead and hide this because I think it's redundant. So we'll go ahead and hide it. And then we'll rename this then to all hobbies. Let's just go ahead and add our properties first. I'm going to rename this to hobby, click on add property, and then first thing we'll do is add a status, just change the icon here, and then we'll keep going from there. And then next what I like to do is add a template, so when I open up a new hobby it just kind of populates a new template. So we'll just put new hobby and then we'll add our little icon. Let's add our paint icon, make her brown, and then we'll keep this populated. We'll do time spent, any notes, wins, and then status. I'm going to change the format of that as well. We'll just make it serif. We will make that the default, set as default for all views. And then when we open up the new page, it should already populate that new hobby, right? I do want to change these colors. I'm not really like a fan of the gray. So we'll change our status here to active. We'll make it green. I want to delete this. We'll add another one to say, like, for example, if we pause an activity, we'll add on pause. We'll make this like yellow or something, right? And then complete, we'll do like done. Well, let's make active pink. Let's do just done. And then let's do another one, abandoned. Let's make that like orange. Okay, so we have our statuses. Let's give ourselves some categories for like average time spent per session, just so I can kind of easily categorize them if I need to. So let's say like our first category is if it takes less than like 30 minutes on average, right? We'll add one for that. Let's make this, I don't know, green. 60 minutes is our next frame. We'll do 1 to 2 hours. We'll do 2 to 4 hours. I'm not a fan of the gray, so let's make it like purple. And then we'll do 4 less hours. Let's make it orange. Ideal season. Of course, we have our seasons. Oh, no, this is supposed to be I'm gonna change it to a multi-select, just in case something might fall under 2 or more seasons. We have that option to put both instead of just one. So spring, I usually put as green for spring. We'll do summer, fall, and then winter. And then I'll go ahead and just change it here. So summer will be yellow. Fall, I typically leave as brown, but since I have a lot of brown going on, I'll do orange. That's another fall color. Winter, will make it blue, and let's do fall brown. Cute. And then our notes, can leave that blank. And then photo, right? If you click on it, you'll be able to embed or upload a file. So let's go ahead and like fill out an activity, for example, that I have, which is watercolor painting active, time spent per session, approximately 1 to 2 hours. Ideal for, I feel like, spring and summer. Ooh, I have like a little photo from my computer. Let's see if it uploads. There's my little photo. It stays minimized, and then you can always add another file and photo. I want to add a few more views here, right? Because as I said, I like to just start with like an overview table just to get all my properties in. I want to add like a section that just displays hobbies I'm doing currently. For example, let's do a gallery. Let's name this currently. I am going to want to get my photos to display right here instead of the page content. I'm going to change this from page content to page cover, and everything else looks pretty good. I'm going to open up in side peek, right? Side peek, if you click on it, it'll just pull up right here instead of when you do center peek, as the name suggests, it'll kind of just pop up in the center. This is kind of cute, but I like to have the ability to access my other parts of my hub as well. So I'm just going to open up side peek, but it's your preference. So for this to show up on things that I'm currently doing, I'm going to set the filter to when status is active. And then, you know, because of course we put status active here, it'll show up under currently. I'm going to scooch this over here. I want this to show up first, and then we'll add my little watercolor, uploading that same watercolor image. It's really the only image I have right now until I create some more, but there you have it. It shows just the cover. I think it's really cute. And then if you click, right, you're able to add your notes and wins and all that good stuff. Maybe we'll create like another one that is also a gallery. So maybe we can just kind of duplicate the view just to make it easier on us. We're going to call this up next. Ooh, we should add another filter, shouldn't we? Let's add another status here. Good point, good point. Let's do up next. Actually, let's add it. Let's add it to our to-do section. Let's put up next. Let's make that new. All right, so now we're good to go. Now we can go ahead and go back to our filter. See, Notion really just is trial and error as you think of things to add, right? So don't be afraid. We're gonna go ahead and take this off. We're gonna add up next, right? Let's go ahead and switch this. For example, if we went back to our table, all hobbies, let's add an example of a hobby that is coming up next for me, which is learning guitar. So we'll put learning guitar up next. Time spent per session, maybe like I'm anticipating a good 1 to 2 hours. Ideal season, let's do year round. And then I don't have an individual photo just yet, but what I am gonna do is add a cover. I'm gonna use Unsplash. Let's type in guitar, and that looks cute. So Unsplash are just like images, right, that are free to use, copyright free. Now when you go into up next, we see that cute little guitar displayed, and then we'll click on it. It opens up in the side peek, and you could also add notes here if you want, right? You don't necessarily have to add your notes in the property itself. You can also jot down whatever you want in here as well. I just kind of left that open. And then maybe we'll do like a space for past projects as well. So let's do maybe another gallery. We'll rename this past projects. We're gonna filter it by status is complete. Yeah, like done. And then let's give this an example, right? So let's put this over here. Let's add it to our large database. So an example, let's say I did like a bread baking, sourdough baking. Let's say like my little stint with my sourdough was complete. I have no idea how long it takes to, I assume it's more than 4 hours because you have to like leave it in the fridge and whatnot, you know, pound it, knead it, bake it, all that good stuff. That's giving like a very fall activity. I really think it is year round. So let's like put both. Let's go ahead and open. So I do have one. Oh, let's go ahead and change that to page cover, and then it shows up. So I have my current, up next, and then past projects. And then I will just do one more maybe just to kind of show you by board, because I like to kind of group by status, and we'll do just that. It already kind of knew what I was trying to do. So we'll name this by status and active, on pause. We'll do up next. Yeah, I think that's cute. We'll keep that over here as well. Yeah, and that way it's just really easy for me to, rather than just kind of clicking open to change the status, right? I can easily just kind of drag and drop. So I personally like a nice clunky database because it gives me a lot of flexibility, makes things faster. It gives you a bunch of options. So you could, you know, click into your table database here and change the status, or you could simply just kind of drag and drop if you want more of that flexibility. So in my opinion, the more views, the merrier. I think this gives me everything I need. I maybe want to add just like one little sticker, one little GIF. I'm gonna go ahead and peruse Giphy. I'll come back with a sticker, and then we will drag it into our hub just to make it a little bit more cutesy. I think this is so cute. And I maybe want to put it, let's put it here. Let's put this back here. Maybe I want to make this bigger, just kind of have this chilling at the side. I think this is cute because it still gives you pretty much complete visibility of our database here, right? We don't want to corrupt the view. And then maybe we'll make this a little bit closer together. Yeah, I think this is cute. What do we think? I think this is a really good place to start for sure. You know, we have everything we need, right? Our goals, our intentions, and any visual inspo that we come up with. I'm definitely going to be dragging and dropping from Pinterest. We do have a very flexible but tangible database for the different views, right? Maybe we just want to zero in on the things that we're currently doing, but still keep that visual aspect, right? And then we have, you know, some inspo and some resources saved. So I think this is very simple yet flexible. Yeah, so let me know what you think. I will go ahead and save this in our shared hub. How cute. And there we have it. That is our hobby hub, ready to help us bring a little bit more creativity and joy into our lives for the rest of the year. Don't forget, if you want this exact system, it'll be linked in the description down below, totally free, in my shared Notion hub. And I just wanted to say, whether it's, you know, watercoloring or knitting or baking or painting, this space and hopefully this channel in general is here to remind you that it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to prioritize your creativity and those things that light you up, and that it is productive to do so. And also, creativity doesn't need to be perfect or monetizable for it to be worth doing. Next up in this series, I want to go ahead and build like a set of reset checklists for all the resets I do on this channel, right? I don't actually have a set checklist that I follow. I kind of just jot down throughout my week what I need to get done, but I kind of want to take the guesswork out of it, like take the thinking out of it. I kind of know, like, when I do a weekly reset, monthly reset, quarterly or otherwise, I typically follow this list. So if that sounds up your alley, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and like this video first, and then go ahead and put on your notification bell so you can get notified when that video drops next. Thanks for hanging out with me as we built this system together. I will see you very soon, and don't forget to stay mindful.